Hey everyone, let's dive into another thrilling chapter in the Venom saga. This time we're flashing back to 1996 in California. At the St. Estes Reform School, we meet a young Cletus Casati talking to his girlfriend Frances Barrison through a wall. Heartbreak looms as Frances is set to be transferred. She confides in Cletus about her growing powers and her fear of losing control. As she's taken away by guards and placed into a truck, Cletus yells for her in vain. During the transport, Frances uses her powers against a guard, Mulligan. Her supersonic screams incapacitate everyone around, causing the truck to overturn. But before she can escape, Mulligan fires a shot at her face. Frances wakes up in the Ravencroft Institute, where she is now under the watchful eye of Dr. Pozzo. Fast forward to the present day at San Quentin Prison. Cletus demands an interview with Eddie Brock to tell his story to the world. Eddie is contacted by Detective Mulligan. Venom is itching to eat Mulligan, who he finds annoying, but Eddie keeps Venom's hunger in check. Eddie meets with Cletus, who asks him to publish a haiku in the newspaper as a message to Frances. Before leaving, Venom urges Eddie to take a closer look at Cletus's cell, hinting at something crucial. Back at Eddie's apartment, Venom uses his keen eye to memorize the drawings and carvings on the walls of Cletus's cell. He deciphers them as clues to where Cletus's victims are buried. Following Venom's lead, Eddie reports this to the authorities, and sure enough, they uncover bodies at the indicated beach. This revelation is pivotal, prompting the judge and governor to reinstate capital punishment, officially sentencing Cletus to death. Meanwhile, Venom isn't thrilled with his diet. Eddie's been limiting him to live chickens and chocolate, which isn't satisfying his hunger. They even have two pet chickens, Sonny and Cher, whom Venom can't bring himself to eat. Venom is frustrated and believes they should be out there taking down bad guys as the lethal protector. Their adventure takes them to Mrs. Chen's bodega. Mrs. Chen, now aware of Venom's existence, informs them that her chocolate shipment is late. Roaming the city, Eddie and Venom spot a mugger attacking a woman. Venom, eager for a snack, wants to intervene, but Eddie convinces him to hold back, much to Venom's disappointment. As they run across rooftops, Eddie gets a call from Anne asking him to meet up. Eddie meets Anne at a restaurant, where Venom is secretly hoping for a reconciliation between Eddie and Anne. However, Anne drops a bombshell: she and Dan are engaged. Despite Eddie's attempts to hide Venom's existence, Anne senses his presence. She tells Venom to take care of Eddie as he clearly can't take care of himself and drives people away. Eddie, disheartened, rides his motorcycle recklessly, but Venom intervenes, steering him away from danger. Later, Eddie receives a postcard from Cletus, inviting him for a final visit before his execution. The card reveals Cletus's disturbing past, including the abuse he suffered and the horrific acts he committed. Reluctantly, Eddie visits Cletus, who taunts him about driving Anne away and his father's blame for his mother's death. This provokes Venom, who pushes Cletus against the wall. In a shocking moment, Cletus bites Eddie's hand, tasting Venom's unique blood. Venom realizes he may have made a grave mistake. Returning home, Eddie and Venom have a heated argument. Eddie feels trapped by Venom, unable to live his life, while Venom continues to complain about his hunger. Their argument escalates into a physical fight, with Venom destroying Eddie's TV. Finally, they break up and Venom leaves to possess other unwitting victims, leaving Eddie to clean up the mess. Meanwhile, Cletus, now transformed into Carnage, escapes execution through the symbiote's intervention. He brutally slaughters the guards, embracing his newfound power. Outside San Quentin, Carnage kills a man, steals his clothes, and sets off to find Frances. He reveals his plan to become the strongest symbiote by killing Venom and seeks Cletus's help in locating Frances. They hack into the internet at a gas station, learning that Frances is at the Ravencroft Institute. Eddie learns of Cletus's escape and is visited by Mulligan, who orders him to stay vigilant and report any leads on Cletus. Investigating further, Eddie is drawn to St. Estes, where he discovers a carving on a tree that reads CKFB. He contacts Mulligan, who is shocked as he believed Frances had died when he shot her years ago. As Venom struggles to find a suitable host, he ends up at a nightclub where he gives an impassioned speech to the crowd, who mistake him for someone in an incredible costume. Despite the adoration, Venom still longs for Eddie. With his current host failing, Venom manages to drag himself to Mrs. Chen's shop for help as he weakens. Meanwhile, Cletus and Carnage arrive at Ravencroft. Cletus transforms into Carnage, killing Dr. Pozzo and freeing Frances, whom he renames Shriek for her powers. Together, they kill the guards and head to St. Estes, intending to destroy it. As authorities approach, Carnage and Shriek unleash their powers. However, Carnage becomes frustrated as Shriek's screams weaken symbiotes. He demands Cletus to control her. Eddie is detained by Mulligan in hopes of luring Cletus. He contacts Anne for help, and she and Dan rush to the station. Eddie explains that they need Venom's help. Anne deduces that Venom is using Mrs. Chen as a host and convinces him to return with her. At the station, Venom breaks Eddie out. Venom demands a sincere apology from Eddie, who relents and apologizes, leading Venom to return to him. Meanwhile, Cletus and Shriek plan a wedding where they each intend to kill their targets. Shriek targets Mulligan, Cletus targets Eddie, and Carnage targets Venom. They ambush and capture Mulligan, then attack Anne and Dan's apartment. Shriek knocks out Dan and captures Anne, leaving a note for Dan. He calls Eddie, informing him that Anne is in danger and the villains want to meet at a cathedral. Eddie, Venom, and Dan confront Carnage and Shriek at the cathedral. Venom hesitates when faced with Carnage's size, but agrees to fight when Eddie promises him free reign to eat anyone. The battle begins with Venom facing Carnage's formidable attacks. Shriek tries to assist, but Carnage orders her to stay back, despite Cletus's objections. Dan manages to restrain Carnage briefly with fire, while Shriek pursues Mulligan. She corners him and seemingly pushes him off a ledge with a chain. Carnage weakens Venom by causing debris to fall on him. He grabs Anne and heads to the roof to kill her. Feeling overpowered, Venom is inspired by Dan's observation that Cletus and Carnage lack the bond that Eddie and Venom share. This motivates Venom to save Anne and fight back, ultimately defeating Carnage. In a final confrontation, Venom defeats Carnage and saves Eddie from falling. However, Venom refuses to let Cletus live despite Cletus's plea for friendship. Venom bites off Cletus's head, ending the threat. Eddie and Venom part ways with Anne and Dan before the authorities arrive. Meanwhile, Mulligan, seemingly alive, exhibits powers similar to Shriek's. In a post-credits scene, Eddie and Venom contemplate their future. Initially considering separating, Eddie decides they should instead retreat to a tropical island, a choice Venom appreciates. As they relax, Venom reveals that symbiotes can perceive other corners of the multiverse. He attempts to demonstrate, but before he can, a burst of energy seemingly transports them to a new location. On a nearby TV, they see a news report by Jonah Jameson about Spider-Man following the events of Far From Home. And that's a wrap on Venom. If you enjoyed this breakdown, smash that like button and subscribe for more. Until next time, stay awesome.